I have never seen so much bullshit hypocrisy in the United States than we've seen recently. Mostly everyone on this earth is a hypocritical, two faced, talking out of the other side of their ass moron. And I'm here to call everybody out on their bullshit. Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York City, has been accused of sexual misconduct by multiple women. However, nothing from AOC, nothing from Kamala Harris, nothing from Joe Biden, hardly anything from MSNBC and CNN. Now all of a sudden, Chris Cuomo can't cover his brother. Now, wait a second. You knew exactly how to cover your brother and paint him as this hero when COVID-19 was happening. Now we can't cover him. Why? Is it the sexual allegations against him? Maybe it's the cover up of all the nursing home deaths that were under his watch. But now all of a sudden, Chris Cuomo and CNN, the Communist News Network, they cannot cover Andrew Cuomo. So all these allegations come out against Andrew Cuomo. We see these pictures, this and that. It's funny because while they're both wrong, Donald Trump saying, "Oh, I'm a celebrity, I could just grab them by the pussy," it was wrong to say. 100% wrong. However, people made a firestorm about that, and rightfully so. What baffles me is that after that, he got elected president and did pretty well, I think, with females, if I remember correctly. Now, Andrew Cuomo comes out. There are videos and pictures of him touching and just the awkward body language. Why isn't there more outroar over this? There were people protesting in favor of Andrew Cuomo. But we all know that if Andrew Cuomo was an R instead of a D, and he was a Republican, not a Democrat, then this would be a whole different story for many people. Now, the New York Post loves taking shots at Andrew Cuomo. Loves taking shots at him. We know that that the New York Post is a right-leaning newspaper, just like the New York Times is a left-leaning newspaper. And we're seeing just the hypocrisy of all of them. The way that they covered Donald Trump's sexual allegations. And now we have how the New York Post is covering it. And it's a tale of both worlds. People now are saying, well, you know what? You have to really, not believe every accuser that comes out. Really? Andrew Cuomo, the same man that is being accused of sexual misconduct, came out when Supreme Court Justice now Brett Kavanaugh, before he was appointed to the Supreme Court, was accused of all of these sexual allegations, sexual misconduct allegations. And Andrew Cuomo put out a tweet saying, every accuser needs to be heard. The voice needs to be heard by every accuser. Now, all of a sudden, we don't want every accuser to be heard because now the predator, the sexual predator, is a part of our political party, and we can't have that. So now we don't want to believe everybody. Now, let's fast forward to Republicans. Now, all of a sudden, Republicans want to hear and listen to every sexual accuser. Why? Why is that? Because Andrew Cuomo is a Democrat. This is the problem with society. It's okay, and this is the norm that's being driven, the narrative, is that it's okay to go after someone and accuse them and paint them as a disgusting animal with sexual assault allegation upon sexual assault allegation if he or she is not a part of my political party. But if that person is a part of my political party, oh, well, then I don't want to know about it. No. Andrew Cuomo is saying it. I vote Democrat every year. Go blue. And we can't have that because that's going to set us back. And I believe it is setting us back as a country. And the whole divide anyway is setting us back. We don't, the whole thing with what's going on at the border and these children. Well, Donald Trump was slammed for this, slammed with what's going on at the border and detaining these kids. He's keeping them in cages. Barack Obama did the same thing. No one said a word. They were quiet for 8 years. Then Donald Trump comes in. Now it's bad. It's bad. He's keeping the kids in cages. How could they? This is ridiculous. They're animals. And now all of a sudden, Joe Biden's in office, and now, oh, no. We're just detaining them. They're not in cages. Come on. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And if you want proof of a super spreader event, well, Mr. Fascist Fauci, just look at what's going on at the border. That should be considered a super spreader event if there ever was one. And also, Florida and Texas, we know, are Republican states. And the people that are sitting there hoping that there's an outbreak because they're not following what Fascist Fauci and President Biden are saying. Texas is opening up and lifting all restrictions. The same with Florida. Do I agree with lifting every restriction? I think you have to be smart about it. I really do. Because, listen, there is a virus out there that we still somewhat maybe don't know where it came from. So you have to be smart about it. You just can't be just all willy-nilly and that's it. But Texas's numbers are going down. Florida's numbers have either gone down or stayed the same. Now, obviously, with Florida, there was a little bit more of an incident during spring break. You knew that was going to happen. Florida, spring break, everybody coming from everywhere. Well, you know that was going to set up. But look what happened with the Super Bowl in Tampa. Oh, they're having this party. It's going to be a super spreader event. Watch out. Doesn't make sense. Funny, I don't remember hearing anything about it after that. Yeah, because it didn't fit the narrative. If there was a million COVID cases after the Super Bowl celebration for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then we would have heard about it on your news. But there wasn't, so you won't hear about it. Just like you won't hear about DMX drug use. Now, what happened to DMX was horrible, and thoughts and prayers are with his family. You never want to see someone die. However, and I'm not saying you can't pay respects, but let's look at the bigger picture here. He died from an overdose. DMX was very, very, very big into the drugs. Shouldn't celebrities out there be maybe educating young men and women around the world that, this is drugs are something that you do not touch, especially drugs that DMX was using. We don't want to use those. But DMX was, a hip hop person that everybody loved, so we're not going to paint the picture that he was a drug addict. If nobody liked DMX and DMX was some white country singer, then yeah, it would be like, he was a drug addict, he was an alcoholic, and fuck it. But DMX is now celebrated. But we're missing the point here. We're missing the point of why he died, how he died. And we're just going to ignore that. And speaking of ignore, why do we ignore Ben Roethlisberger's sexual misconduct past? Why did we ignore Kobe Bryant's sexually misconduct past? Why are we trying so hard now to say Deshaun Watson is innocent? He didn't do any of this. Deshaun Watson is not capable of this, and Deshaun Watson is so innocent. Why? Because they're pro athletes? Because they're athletes that we root for? They're athletes that we maybe have in our fantasy league, and we don't want our fantasy league ruined. God forbid. God forbid a woman gets raped. No, 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 no. I need that person to stay in the league. He's in my fantasy team. Come on. Fantasy league, woman getting raped. Fantasy league, woman getting raped. Come on. It's bullshit. We just forget what happened in Colorado with Kobe. We forget what happened with Ben Roethlisberger. Why? Because they're famous athletes? What difference does that make? Bill Cosby was a famous comedian. He was let out on a rail. We don't forget what Bill Cosby did, but why do we forget what Kobe Bryant did? Or forget what Ben Roethlisberger did? Or we're trying to paint the picture now that Deshaun Watson did nothing wrong. Why? Because he's a popular athlete? I'll say this on sexual assault allegations. There are times when women are lying, when women are just looking for a paycheck, and the allegations aren't true. And they're doing it just to hurt the person's integrity and hurt the person's reputation. And the accuser is trying to get a paid at it. But sometimes, mostly all the time, the accuser is right. And something did happen that was not consented. Now, you can debate all day, and we could have a 2-3 hour, 2-day debate on, well, when do we stop listening to the accuser? What if 20 people came out tomorrow and accused 20 different people of rape, but none of them raped the person? What do you do? It's a sticky situation. And it's a situation that maybe should be talked about more. Rape is wrong, no matter how you do it. And trying to force yourself sexually on someone without consent is wrong. Lying about being raped and lying about being forced on is also wrong. And we have to acknowledge as such. But if we can sit there and plaster people that we don't like, and Donald Trump is a rapist and Donald Trump is horrible towards women and this and that, just because we don't like Donald Trump. But we're not going to say anything about Kobe Bryant or Ben Roethlisberger or Andrew Cuomo. Nothing at all. You never hear about a sexual allegation against a Democrat. Because if it does happen, the media sweeps it under the rug. And that's the problem too. The media painting a narrative that black people should hate white people and white people should hate black people. And Charles Barkley nailed it on TNT. They are trying to divide us. We just can't let them win. We can't let them win. When you let hate win, you're done. You have to love everybody. But the hypocrisy now, we went through years of people saying all cops are bad, cops should die, cops are pigs. And now this Capitol riot happened, and all of a sudden, oh man, we care about a police officer getting killed because it fits our narrative. We can put this against Donald Trump. This was a disgusting right-wing animals that did this to the Capitol. So now, you know what? Now let's care about cops. Now let's care about it. If Antifa killed a cop, you wouldn't hear it, which has happened before. But you don't hear that because the media doesn't want you to know that. But there are numerous hypocrisy levels. Major League Baseball taking the All-Star game out of Georgia, out of Atlanta, because of the voting rule. Now, you can sit there and go all you want about water and this and that. I've said this 1,000 times, 1,000 times. You know, I don't think that the Atlanta voting laws are racist. I don't think they are. You need an ID to get everywhere. Why do you not need an ID for voting? And again, closing the polls early, yeah, maybe they shouldn't do that. Maybe they should keep the polling things closed a little bit more. I mean, open a little bit more, but do it like that. Extend your voting time. Don't close the polls early. But don't sit there and make it like having an ID to vote is racist. It's not. And we're going to penalize Georgia. What happens to all the black-owned small businesses in Atlanta that were going to profit off of the All-Star game? Now they get hurt. And I have a question. Is the U.S. going to start pulling their sports teams? And is President Biden going to pull all U.S. Olympic teams out of the Beijing Olympics? China promotes genocide. China hates gays. China is a dictator country. You'll hear the NBA players say a lot about America, but they won't say shit about China. You know why? Because they got a nice little payday from China. And that's the hypocrisy. You can't sit there and say America is the worst place in the world, blah, 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 yet you say nothing about China. You're silent on China. Nah, doesn't work with me. Doesn't work with me. So have a stance on something and stick with it. Don't just change your stance because it doesn't fit your political narrative. Because then you become a hypocritical asshole who really doesn't have a stance on anything. You think sexual assault is bad? Then believe the accusers of Andrew Cuomo. Don't not believe them because you voted for him. But you're going to believe automatically the accusers against Brett Kavanaugh and Donald Trump. Come on. Come on. We know that Kobe was your favorite basketball player growing up. We know Ben Roethlisberger is your quarterback. We know Deshaun Watson's on your fantasy team. But are we going to ignore their sexual assault allegations because they're your favorite player? What's more important again? Women being raped or my favorite baseball, basketball, football player? The choice is yours. Make it.